I always said, no, I'm going to win this fight. And even if they're going to win, they're going to have to fight for it. I'm not going to give it to them. That's why you with the fight with Randleman, when he bashed my head in, I mean, my nose was flat, I lost the contact, cuts here, everything is open, I'm bleeding, I'm swallowing my blood, you know? And there's always moments that go from, yeah, you want to quit, and the referee goes, you want to fight? I go, yeah, screw it, let's just fight. Step up, get some cojones, stop being a PUSI, I always say, and that's P-U-S-I. I made an abbreviation of the word pusillanimous. Lack of courage, lack of determination, cowardly. Stop being that. 7 deadly sins: pride, wrath, greed, envy, lust, sloth, gluttony. Look at the world. It's ramping at the freaking highest level right now.
What's going on, everybody? Matthew Ablacan here from the Millennial's Choice Show. I'm here with my sister from another Mr. Marianne. What's going on, Mare?
Not too much. Everything is great. How about you?
Everything was good. You had a good weekend?
Yes, it was great.
That was fun, the bar we went to with Nick and Sarah.
It was a great time.
That was good. Hogan's Bar.
Yes.
Ironically, we're interviewing a fighter and we went to Hogan's Bar on Friday. Okay, so before I introduce our next guest, who is a stud and a legend, I just want you guys to know that I'm a fan, like personal fan. I just want to thank some of our top contributors on our page. I noticed a lot of you guys engaging with us recently, and these are the page names. I just want to say thank you for supporting our channel. Live from Uptown, Uncle Junior, The Unidentified Son 321, DJ Tony Soprano, and Kia Ray Clips, Taste Test Titan, and the Unapologetics Opinions Podcast. Thank you all for the love and support. And guys, if you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And I want to introduce our next guest. So I have a formal intro for our guest here. I needed to do it right. It may sound a little scripted because it is. I want to get this exactly right. Today's guest is a man who didn't just fight. He reinvented what fighting could be. From being a bullied kid to becoming a UFC Heavyweight Champion and one of the most feared strikers on the planet, he turned pain into power, discipline into dominance, and charisma into legend. He is the former UFC Heavyweight Champion, 3-time King of Pancrase, and a pioneer of MMA before even MMA had a name. He's knocked out opponents with liver shots so brutal, they're still studied today, and he did it all with a smile. But what makes him truly dangerous isn't just the technique, it's the mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Bas El Guapo Rutten. Welcome to the show. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Bas.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, a pleasure to be here.
I hope that intro was fitting. I wanted to get it right and respectful.
It's always good to hear, you know, that you did something good in life. You know, how I was talking about it today because the guy who started me, he's writing a book. He was the godfather of mixed martial arts, Chris Dolman, and they asked me to write a piece in it because he always said I was his best student. And I say it was one phone call, and I never picked up the phone. But somehow the phone is ringing, and the answering machine was broke. It was all the way back in '92, just '93. I think around April, May '93. And and I walk at the phone. I pick it up, and I look at my wife like, "Why am I picking this thing up?" And it was him. And he says, "Jump in your car right now. Come to Amsterdam, which is like a 2-hour drive." He says, "There's some new guys looking for a new promotion. Pancrase is from Japan, and they're looking for talent." And I went to the gym and boom, I got the job. And suddenly I'm fighting in Japan. It was the wildest thing. I was like a misguided projectile before it. And suddenly I had a goal. And that together, I think with my ADHD mind, you know, once we set our mind on something, it's like everything, you know, I become obsessed. And thankfully it helped. It worked out. So,
yeah, it's like regardless of where you were, this was always the path meant for you, right? So somehow you got on it and never looked back.
It really is. You know, I truly believe so. Like we talked about it before, you know, everything happens for a reason, right? And it truly has. God has always a plan for you. And people might say, some other religious people, yeah, but fighting is not... It is. For us, it's the same as shooting hoops. There's no violence between those guys. You know, we don't break arms. You know, yes, you might see sometimes something happen when somebody taps too late. But I mean, come on, it's got great rules. It's more safer rules than boxing. So if you break everything down, and fighting has been there all the way back. I mean, you needed to defend yourself. And this was just at the moment that people go like, oh, I need to defend myself. And they go, I'm probably better than you. Or you think you're better than me? Okay, you want to try it out? I guess that's how it all starts, right? To see who's the best guy. And then it became a sport. So, but I think also my life, now I'm thinking back, all the crazy stuff that I did, it's really good stuff that I can use now in my speaking engagements.
When I was watching the Rampage video that you did, the interview with Rampage Jackson, the stories you guys were sharing were like unreal. Like you guys, there was such a sense of camaraderie and brotherhood amongst you guys versus today when we're watching the UFC, everybody's clout chasing and talking smack about, religion and family and everything. Like it's changed so much.
It did change. It was more honest at the time. There was no social media. We didn't go for the likes. We just wanted to fight because it was cool. We loved it. It's not for the money, not for the fame. Because what fame at the time? I mean, it got banned. When I was fighting UFC, it was legal in 3 states. I mean, yes, people knew about it, but it wasn't like this big thing. So, and I always talk about that. The camaraderie was just insane among all the fighters. Yes, we would fight each other. You avoid each other like 2 days before the fight. But then, once the fight happened, we're all partying together, man. We're all going to dinner together. It's one big freaking brotherhood, so to say.
Yeah, that's amazing. Bas, when you were growing up and you were bullied, sometimes when somebody's bullied, they start believing something about themselves that's not really true. It's like that saying where if you just say the lie enough and pretend that it's truth, people will start believing that it's truth. When you were bullied, were you starting to believe some of the things that those bullies were saying about you or saying to you? And if so, when did you or how did you break out of that belief?
No, I always was a good athlete. I was very sick as a kid and I had horrible skin disease and a severe asthma, like a week in bed, everything have to do in bed, not able to eat, like that asthma. But if I would have no asthma and I would do my track and field, I'm just going through newspaper clippings last week for a documentary that we're making, and it's insane, Like in one show I got 3 gold medals and a silver medal. Because I wanted to be the first Dutch Bruce Jenner. That was my idol, I mean, he was the 1976 Olympic decathlon guy, and I was young, but I was already going really strong. So I knew I was a great athlete. The bullies also, if we had to play handball, picking teams, I was the first guy they picked because they knew that I was not even going to try to score. I'm just going to throw that ball against your face as hard as I can, because if there's a bully in front of me, he's going to get it. And they knew I was a good athlete. So I was always picked first, and then everything else, of course, I was picked last. But so I knew I was an athlete. I just didn't have the cojones yet to step it up because, you're insecure. Yeah, and it's always gangs, right? It's always a group. It's never one guy. And that was, I just started doing Taekwondo. Saw a Bruce Lee movie that set me up to start doing Taekwondo with my parents didn't want me to do it. It took me 2 years to convince them because a neighbor girl was a very pretty girl and she was dating one of the cool guys in town. Xavier was his name. And he took me on his wing. He said to my parents, he says, he's not going to get hurt. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of him. He's going to train with the adults. I don't let him do kids classes. And then I start training with the adults. And that was it. Like in months, I start beating the adults. Maybe not the black belts, but a lot of guys start dropping. And then I overheard him talk about me in the dressing room. Man, did you see that kid, Bas? He just dropped him so with a head kick. And everybody's laughing and go, wow, that kid's got a lot of talent. And once you start listening to adults saying that about you who don't know that you're listening, you tend to become more confident. And then I got into the fight with the biggest bully in my school on the street with 5 of his buddies. And he shouted something, leper. I was the leper at school. That's what they called me because of the skin disease. And this time I shouted something back. And that till this day, I always say, it always gets me every single time emotional because it was the very first time I stood up for myself. And they surrounded me and he started challenging me and hit me, leper. Okay. And I hit him once. That was it. Fight was over. Nose was broke, flat on his face. They needed to call he needed to go to get his nose set. So now the police was called because normally it's a street fight. Nothing happens. But that, of course, took my parents right away. They told me, okay, see, it's violence. We'll take him off. And I have to mention this all the time because, But my parents didn't know I was bullied. My mom had a lot of work with me. She had to mummify me. She had to put bandages on me every single day. In the night, I would scratch it off. She had to do it again. So I already felt like I was putting a lot on her. So I never told her I was bullied. I'm pretty sure my dad would have known. He would have said, "Oh, we're going to leave him. He's not going to leave martial arts." But I didn't tell him.
That's awesome. That's an awesome story. So regarding your liver shot, I was watching, I think it was the House of Boxing YouTube channel yesterday. Was that the name of the page? You remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're showing all your old fights. And your liver shots, like you ruptured people's liver in fights. How did you develop that shot? And like, how did you develop that? Like, what's the secret to that shot?
Well, first of all, this is what I'm really proud of. The word liver shot comes from me. Like, there was always a left hook to the body. Everybody's saying liver shot right now. I go like, dude, I came up with that freaking word. So even on HBO, Showtime, I heard him saying it. I go, dude, this is awesome. It was always a left hook to the body. In Holland, we saw liver stoot, and then stoot, I said, oh, that's like a shot. And so I said liver shot, and then people start picking up on it. So that I really love. It's very simple. I came from karate, and I went to Thai boxing, and I was beating everybody in karate. Black belt, I was really good. And then I went to Thai boxing, and suddenly there's low kicks of a knees and everything included. And I was sparring with a pro, and my hands are here because there's no punches to the face in karate. There's kicks, but there's no punches. And knees are also allowed. But since my hands were here, the guy, when he hit me in the head, of course, I overcommitted way too fast because suddenly, shit, there's a punch coming. Well, he figured me out really freaking fast. So the second combo or the third combo already, he brings my hands up and poof, he drops me with the body shot. And that's when he said, I go, well, what is this? Because I never experienced it. And he goes, that's a left hook to the liver. He says, that's a big organ. And he explained it. I go, dude, this is crazy. And then I saw Ramon Dekkers. He's my go-to guy, the Thai boxer. I actually fought on the same card with him one time. But when he was really young, he became the first biggest name as foreigner in Thailand. He started beating these Thais that I would never beat before. He just was a ranking machine. I mean, I showed Mike Tyson the clip from Ramon Dekkers highlight. You have no idea, man. 165 pounds. He kicks people horizontal if he kicks him to the legs. Like, I mean, even Mike was standing. He goes like, dude, they call him the Mike Tyson of Thai boxing. That's why they call him like that. That punching power that Mike has in the 165-pound guy, together with his kicking, is insane. And he started dropping freaking Thais with body shots. And I go, whoa, this is very effective. And nobody was really paying attention to it. I go, why not? Because in the beginning, it's all chaos in the head. In training, yes, it's easy to drop a body shot. But to do the same thing in training as under pressure is a whole different animal. It's like you rehearsing your lines, your whole opening, and now, boom, all the cameras are on you. You're going to live. Go. Hey, that's a whole different story right now because now there's no time for screw-ups. And that same thing in fighting, of course. But then once you get into it and you start get used to it, suddenly everything starts falling together. And then with luck, because a lot of these guys don't master that, unfortunately, because there's really good guys out there in the training, but they can't ever do it under the pressure. But once you get it in that state that you are in the gym, then I just go, like, let's go for body shots. I mean, nobody's doing it. Everybody's afraid for my punching power. So as soon as I hit, the hands most of the time overcommit, go up. Well, they're exposing the body. So that's how it started, I guess. Just my second fight, actually. That's how it started. Then I go, and that was something I never did before. Also, it was like he got me in an armbar. I wanted to tap because I was awake all night. I was throwing up. They let me travel 8 hours on the day of the fight. They did pretty much everything to let me lose. I couldn't carry my luggage anymore. So my manager, because I never had a coach, I coached myself. He was carrying everything for me. And then we came at the fight. The guy gets me in an armbar. I just want to tap because I'm new. I didn't know what an armbar and everything was. And then I wanted to tap, but then the audience started cheering for him. And my ego took over, I guess. And then I somehow got out. There was a rope escape, so there was weird rules. Anyway, I got out, and 30 seconds later, I knocked him out with a knee to the body, to the liver. And the way I did that, because I was so tired and I was so done, I knew I didn't have any energy. And I'm standing in the clinch, and I'm holding him tight, and I see him breathe. And his belly comes out. And on the third inhale, I knee him to the body. I literally timed his breathing. And when you breathe in, well, you can do 5,000 sit-ups a day. That's not going to protect you at all. When you breathe in, the muscle is relaxed. That's the moment you want to hit him. That's why I always say in boxing and in kickboxing and in MMA, if the guy is really tired, go for the body, because most of the time they can't control the breathing anymore. They don't know anymore when to flex. That's why it's really nice to do this, and they flex and then drop the real punch, because they flex, inhale because there's no punch, and then you get them on the inhale. You see, so these little tricks, and I never did that before. I knew about it, and then it became, I go, whoa, that was easy. And then I start going after the livers. That's what I have to say.
I enjoyed watching all the clips yesterday. It was crazy to me.
So I understand the whole physical aspect of it, but I'm curious about the mental. Like, was there ever a moment in a fight where you knew that you broke someone, like, mentally?
Yeah, I had a few. I think a lot of them, and this sounds really egomaniacish, but I knew they were afraid of my punching power, and I knew that if I would have a stare down, I would never look at the person I looked down, but I could see, I would always look at the stomach, and I would see the stomach vibrate, and then I would look at my stomach, and from the nerves, and I go, oh, I got it, because I knew they were just intimidated, and I think I won a lot of fights pretty much already before it. It was really weird. Well, a good striker would do really good to me, so I never got it. But all these stories came out, and the crazy street fighting, and then people and the knockouts in Thai boxing, so I think I got more hype in the beginning than what I really was, and then I had to, of course, live up to that hype, and that just made me train even harder, and now really start going for the bodies. Yeah, but mental is everything in fighting. It's the whole. Yeah, if you can control it mentally, then everything. And if you see me Thai boxing in Holland, it wasn't pretty. It was me just every punch you see me making faces and drop. And yes, I was strong and I knocked him out. But against a good guy, like a really good guy, I would have had a problem, because I was just unloading on these freaking guys, and they just couldn't handle my power. But a good guy who knows how to move, that would have been a problem for me. Thankfully, I never faced that. But then. In my first fight in Japan, I always talk about this. This was literally like something took me over at that fight. I remember everything but from the fight, whatever he threw, I could right away after the fight, I said, oh, well, the opening kick was weird, right? I blocked it with my shin. I never did that before. Like was this really weird. I was so in the zone. I could hear people talk. I remember, and I said this before in an interview, there was an Australian couple who went from Melbourne to Sydney or something. They were talking about it. Somehow, I could hear that conversation, but I was listening to my corner. His corner was Japanese, so I couldn't understand what they were saying. But I'm literally standing there going like, what the heck is going on? I was so suddenly in control. And it was such a weird thing. It was like these two voices in your head. One voice is telling you to go, finish. The other guy says, stay calm. And listen to that guy, right? Always don't go to that guy. And once I started learning and listening to that guy, the most insane thing for me was, and people might have heard this before, but that was to me, and it still blows my mind because I knew it was a different force. It wasn't really me there were 8 counts in Japan, and I dropped the guy, big punch, like high kick, and then he's taller than me, palm strike him under his jaw. The guy goes down, but the Japanese guys are tough. Right. So, and I know I have to be relaxed because I just found out on the day of the fight that my opponent is 33 pounds heavier, that there are no weight classes, and then when there's only one round. Oh, great. How many minutes? 30 minutes. You see, and if you figure that out on the day of the fight, you tend to be more relaxed because you don't want to unload and lose all the power that you have. But anyway, I drop this guy. He falls down, but I see his eyes are open. He's looking at me. And the one guy on my shoulder is saying, go to the corner, because as soon as I hit the corner, that's when they start counting. So the faster I'm in my corner, the least amount of time I give him to recoup. But the other voice tells me not to. He said, no, stand there. Just stand there. Look at him. And so I'm standing still. I look at him. And then I turn around and I start walking very slowly back. The voice is going crazy. Go fast, go fast, go fast. The other one is saying, just relax. And I turn around, I'm in the corner, I'm just hanging like this, looking at him. So to him, it looked that I absolutely take all the time you need to get up because I got some more for you. You see, somehow that voice was telling me that that would be way more impressive or way more imposing on him than to run scared to the corner and let him count. But that wasn't me. It was just, like I said, while I was doing it was literally two voices telling me this. It's just that was the weirdest thing. But then I was hoping to get that feeling back, of course, and thankfully, suddenly I got it. And that's when I started fighting control. Now every punch I make, my face is not moving. It's all relaxed. There's no screaming. Everything suddenly became easy. And then fighting became a lot of fun. And I think that's everything, Once it becomes even fun, the fighting itself, now you're up to a good start.
Yeah, you were locked in for sure.
Have you ever faced a fighter and you were scared?
No, I never did that. But it's just telling yourself, it's that if they say, hey, you got to fight Francis Ngannou, I go, well, I'm going to win. And that's not an ego thing, but I just don't think it's a smart thing to say that, he might knock me out. I think with a mindset like that going to a fight, if you plant a seed of doubt there and then it gets tough, then you might break, So I always said, no, I'm going to win this fight. And even if they're going to win, well, they're going to have to fight for it, So I'm not going to give it to them. And as long as you have that mindset, and then especially what happened in my second fight, when I got out of the armbar and 30 seconds later I knocked him out, that was pivotal for me because that was early in my career. And 30 seconds ago, I wanted to tap. And then 30 seconds later, I knocked him out. And that's when I told myself, this will never happen again. That's why you went the fight with Randleman when he bashed my head in. I mean, my nose was flat. I lost the contact. Cuts here. Everything is open. I'm bleeding. I'm swallowing my blood. And there's always moments that go from, you want to quit. And the referee goes, you want to fight? I go, yeah, screw it. Let's just fight. That's that other voice again. But that came from the second fight where I almost wanted to quit, but still knew that I won. So there's always a chance. It's like that test they did, right? They did a test with rats. I don't know if you've heard about this. They put them in water and they let them swim there. And there's no way for themselves to save for them to save themselves. And they're going to see when do they give up. And I think it was like 6 minutes, or it was way below 15 minutes, but it was very short. And then just when they started drowning, they picked them out. So they were saved. Then they waited 2 days. They put them back into the water. 60 hours. Didn't stop. Why? Because they knew there was still a chance that they were going to be saved. You see, so now going from 6 minutes, let's make it 50 minutes to 60 hours, then you can really see what the mind can do. Because they wanted to quit. I wanted to do it. And 30 seconds later, it's over. And now they just suddenly do 60 hours. And I think everybody has that. We just need to know how to tap into it. If you look at a guy like David Goggins, he knows how to tap into that. He just pushes everything he does. I mean, I've been crazy in my training. Like insane. I would do things like him too because I read his book, but he does it times 10. And people already thought I was crazy at the time. If I tell myself I'm going to do 10 rounds on the back and I do only 8 because I didn't feel so good, I know this is going to mess with me because I'm going to come home and then sit and in the middle of the night and suddenly I go, shit, I got to go to the gym in the middle of the night. And now I got to do 15 rounds because now I got to pay. I have the penalty, And so I hear that. I thought I was weird with that. And all my friends thought I was weird with it. And then you read David Goggins. Well, he would do like 25 rounds, like he really ups the game, but he does it with everything that he does. And we're all capable of doing it, but we're losing it because we're so polluted by social media. We want to be liked and we're becoming so soft. Everything is comfort right now. The devil is winning, guys. I mean, if you look at all the freaking, the 7 deadly sins, pride, wrath, greed, envy, lust, sloth, gluttony, look at the world. It's ramping at the freaking highest level right now. Nobody wants to take responsibility. Can't somebody call them fat because, what is it? If you go to a doctor and you say, what is that stuff called between your skin and your muscle? Fat. Okay, well, so you're fat. You're also an alcoholic, right? Because you drink alcohol. But we try to pen it down. It's okay. It's not okay. You're taking years of your life. Think about your family members also. It's a selfish thing. It's like me drinking and drugs. I did that a lot. I'm very selfish. It's a lot of pride. Oh, I'm going to be okay. No, I can die sooner. I'm not I'm not a great person, but you got to say it. And that's what David Goggin said again. He said, I always said I was overweight. And at the moment I said that I was fat, that changed my mind because I didn't want to be fat. And then he started working out. And then I suddenly, well, look at him now. You see, and I always tell everybody can do it. He's just a man. We can all do it. It's just that mind thing that they try to make weaker and weaker and weaker. It's almost like it's designed for it, I'm thinking. But yeah, step up. Get some cojones. Stop being a PUSI, I always say. And that's PUSI. I made an abbreviation of the word pusillanimous. Lack of courage, lack of determination, cowardly. Stop being that. Step up. And listen, I'm vice-free, but I still have my nicotine patches, right? I mean, and I still have thoughts that sometimes I go like, dude, what are you thinking now? You know, these are also vices, right? Or getting angry about something that you shouldn't be angry about, you know, like a stupid thing, a dog suddenly crossing the line, and I have 2 dogs. And I go, dude, guys. And I go like, and right away when I go, guys, I go, oh my God, I'm such a sissy. You know, just relax, untangle the thing. They don't do this on purpose. You see, but we shoot to anger really fast that it's ramping up the world right now. It's so sad to see, you know. I wish that more people start coming back to becoming a man, you know, put the mind-body connection together, just like Marcus Aurelius already was saying all the way back in the Roman time.
You're so right. I was even the other day telling my wife, I'm like, man, I don't know why I feel so like not content or complacent, but in a way soft. Like I stopped training, I stopped sparring, stopped doing stuff. I had to take a cold shower today, like ice cold, just to remind me of that feeling of discomfort. Like it's a good feeling to have sometimes. And you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, but this is the thing, right? Everything that they give you doesn't have any meaning. If you have to work for something, you know, then the payoff, like if you have to go to a 10-week training camp and you get injured and this happens and you can't eat that, you can't go to this party, you have to really watch out what you're doing. And it's hard because you have to work around your injuries. Everybody's injured. Every single fight, everybody is. You know, just have to try to figure out if you can figure out what it is. And then again, I'm the guy who doesn't want to do that because then I feel like kind of a loser. If I know that his left hand is hurt, you know, I'm not going to go after that. You see, but then when you win, then the payoff is gigantic, you know. And when you lose, and thankfully I've always been that guy, I've never cried. I've seen guys completely destroyed after a loss. I goes, well, I guess I have to train harder. That was literally my mindset. Go harder, you know, and don't give up. But then the payoff is there. And now it's everybody wants the newest phone, the newest car. It's got to be bigger than him, better than him, bigger. And it's all, we're feeding all our dopamine receptors. And this dopamine you should stay away from. It's the serotonin, the nice and relaxed one, that's even one. That's the one you should go for. But no, we hit the dopamine. But guess what? You get your new phone, you're all excited. Yeah, that's a week. And then it's gone. It drops again. And the only way to get that same effect back is like any other vice. You have to get something better than that. Because otherwise that same feeling doesn't come back. It's like drinking 2 beers. First time you drink 1 beer, you go, oh, hey, I feel good. Yeah, well, but the 5th time, you're going to need 2 or 3 at least to get that same feeling back. And that works also with your mind like that. Every time you need to do more. Why do you see these kids now online dying, doing these crazy acrobatics and stunts and jumping from roofs? Because they, every time they get used to it. They need to be more crazy to get more likes, and now risk starts coming in. You know, it's scary what we're doing for likes and what we're doing to be liked. You know, and you can't control what other people think anyway. So why would you really care? But they made up an opinion on you just the moment you walked in. If they don't know you, the way you talk, whatever you dress, you look, whatever it is, they already have an opinion on you. And it's absolutely probably completely wrong, but they don't know, you know, but most of the time they project it as it is the truth. And yeah, now we're starting getting problems. You know, it's I can talk hours on that because it drives me insane that people don't see that, you know. Have a goal and start something. You know, my mind and body, how that works together. If I work out before I have to do a big show and with big openings and I memorize stuff half the amount of time when I'm not working out. It's that big of a difference. So getting everything under control, that's how God designed you to be. And then you can fight off all these crazy diseases as well because your mind and body works together.
How bad did your injuries really get? And what part of your health journey people don't know or that they wouldn't believe?
Well, yeah, like I said, the asthma was severe because people cough nowadays. You go, I got asthma. I go, yeah, try to lay a week in bed and not able to eat. Do that. It's a whole different ball game. But, for me to get out of that was really simple. And I just knew that those people out there who had what I had for 1 week had it 365 days a year. I knew there were people, I had my hands were full with eczema and it would burst, stuff would come out. It was disgusting, in my arms and in my neck and everywhere. I knew there were people out there that were from head to toe. So that's how I dealt always with injuries. And most of the time I say, well, it maybe happened for a reason. If I'm working out somewhere and I get injured on my leg, well, maybe my left leg is strong enough. That's what God's telling me. Maybe I got to focus more on my hands now. Whatever it is, there's always a way to twist it. Now, once you get injured, that's how I thought about it. It probably happened for a reason. And this was before I got back to God, actually. But I already was thinking like that. Because then it becomes much easier. Because the more depressed you get, the worse the healing is going to be. And the worst injury for me that I had that really stopped my career was the tendonitis. That was in both arms. It's not tendonitis. It's something related to that. I took an insane amount of cortisones when I was a kid because they didn't know the later term effects, because we were talking about 75, well, younger. I mean, from 6 till 50 years. So that was from 71 till for 15 years, I took bizarre amounts of cortisones for all the pain and for the skin and for everything that I had and for the asthma, but they start affecting your tendons, which we later found out. So if I would hit something really hard at back, I would feel a little tip and then it would start. And then it would go for an hour and a half, 2 hours, insane pain. Like I had sciatica, I had a lot of crazy pains. That still tops everything because sciatica is bad too, but at least you get to find sometimes a position. This just keeps boom, boom, boom. It keeps going. And if you have that, and once it happens, every workout is going to come back. So if this happens 3 weeks before the fight, you're going to have to do 30 freaking workouts still because I do 10 a week with that pain. I have about 45 minutes without pain, and then it comes back with a freaking vengeance. So I have only 45-minute sessions. And that takes the pleasure out of training because you come home, you start losing weight because you can't eat, you're freaking miserable. And that unfortunately took it away. Like my neck surgeries, that came from a TV show. Like all the other injuries came from like doing other stuff. From fighting, I never got really a big injury, only that tendonitis. But that's just because my tendons were weaker than my muscles because of all the cortisones that I took as a kid.
Wow. I didn't realize that. I thought it was mostly from maybe your fights or training, but that makes sense too. So we're not going to see you come back at all in one of these misfit boxing matches or anything that they're doing online now on YouTube. We're not going to see you come back at all.
No, thankfully I did okay. So I'm feeling very secure about everything. And I have 4 neck surgeries. My arm is all atrophied. There's a whole dent in here, see? So it's not filled up like this one. So it's a weaker arm, but at least I got, after the 4th surgery, I got my hand back because I couldn't use my hand. I couldn't pull a trigger. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't grab like this. I couldn't grab. I couldn't do I was starting with 2-pound curls. That's how I started. And I do 18 now. They go, oh, that's big. Yeah, since 2011. 14 years. And I think it's not this muscle that other muscles are using to take over that job. And it got a little bigger and So with that neck also, 4 plates in my neck, front and back. So if I get hit in the wrong way, something happens. No. I'm going to, and speed is still, pretty there. I'm not slow. That I can tell. And especially if I like spar with some guys, but that's only guys I really trust and are really good who, not give you a freaking full punch to the head. But the speed is still there. But unfortunately for me, that's over. And actually, fortunately for me, not unfortunately, because I would have been that numbnut who would still fight. And which I'm 60, dude. I mean, these kids, they start now when they're 6 years old. Then you fight a kid like that when he's 20. Good luck with that. I'm not going to do it.
It's funny that you said that because my son is into it. Like I'm watching him do certain things that's different from other boys. And someone asked me if we're going to put him in wrestling. I said, I just met a 16-year-old at the gym who wrestled. His parents were so competitive. he can't even hold a conversation. Like you say, hey, Bas, how are you? I'm Matthew. And he's like, I'm good. How are you? But there's that pause, right? And I'm like, he's taking too many shots to the head. So you got to be careful nowadays. With wrestling, I guess he gets slammed or he gets slammed on his head or whatever the case may be. And then now he's getting into boxing.
He's a better coach then, right? Shit.
Yeah, you never know who the coach is, who the team is, what's going on around him. But I don't know. It's
I don't like parents like that. The soccer moms and the soccer dads, right, who want their kid to be something that they were never were, but they wanted to be, and then they push all that pressure on the poor kid. And sure, if the kid has talent, and he really loves to do it, but don't push him into something that they don't really love to do, because I think love is the biggest ingredient in everything. I think that because I love training. I mean, I would like, oh God, it's time to go, and I think once you have that, it's easy to train. And then when you love it, you do it a lot. And when you do it a lot, hey, you get better. That's how it works. When they push it on you, like Quentin tells me that he hates training. I go, dude, that's a tough job. I mean, because you're going to have to train every single day, a couple of times a day. So, no, thankfully, I always love it. I say, pick something you love. You can be whatever you want to be. Don't believe the stupid lie. Yes, we can all get better and everything, but certain things are for certain people. If somebody walks with 2 feet like this, you can't. I'm sorry, but you can be great in anything else. There's a lot of freaking things out there that you have to focus on. But don't brainwash your kid by saying that they can do whatever they want. I wouldn't be a jet fighter pilot. With my ADHD, I'm going to crash that thing. I know I am, because I'm too crazy. So I can't. But I know my limitations, and I know what I'm good at. And find that. Just find what you're good at, and fall in love with it. And then you do it. You're going to do it.
Bas, what's the craziest street fight scenario situation you've been in?
Yeah, that's a long fight. People should look up because that's the 5 bouncers in Sweden. That it was a crazy fight. It's a long explanation again. Just 2 guys. They were known for it. They were known for putting people in prison and attacking people, and then later say that they started it. And but with me, it worked out different, And I tried to diffuse it the whole time, but this guy didn't want to do it. The guy stuck a finger in my eye. I go, guys, I don't want any trouble. And they stuck a finger on my other eye. And yeah, that's when I knocked him out. And then suddenly 3 other guys joined. And now I'm one of fighting on the marble stairs of the escape. We do the what is it? Where there's fire, the escape stair exits, fire exit stairs. And I'm fighting 5 guys. But you're freaking dropping everybody. But they wake up, right? They're more angry now because there's 5 of them. But it worked out well. I ended up in jail there. Because, of course, they said I was the guy who started it. But I was a national hero in Sweden. Let me tell you that. In Stockholm, this was. Because these guys apparently were so bad. They did that to so many people. And the people really didn't like him. So, and then, this is like freaking the best promotion I ever had. They put the cover of my street fighting DVD in the paper. And then next to it was an article written. And they interviewed one of the bouncers who said, we were happy the police came because we couldn't handle him. So my sales, they went up. I go, well, thank you for that. But it was, listen, that was funny. It wasn't fun at the time. It was scary because they wanted to keep me 6 to 9 months there because I had no witnesses, right? It was in a closed area. And thankfully I had some friends who went over to the bouncers and had to talk to them. And they took back their charges, and then they released me. I was only 2 days in jail, so and they actually let me come back in the country because I was there for a seminar, and the seminar I couldn't do because I was in jail. So I promised everybody next time you come, seminars for free. I'm going to come back, and then they allowed me to come in. So I guess everything was okay. But that was the crazy situation because it started for nothing, and I tried to diffuse it a bunch of times until they started putting finger in my eye, then my other eye. I go, yeah, what's next, right? They're going to keep me the going. I don't know what's next, but let's not find out. Let's just start now. And yeah, it was crazy.
So I'm just laughing because the bar videos, seriously, we used to watch them in high school. And like, this is what you would do as self-defense. So when I got married, I would always tell my wife, look, we're not going to get into a fight with anybody, but if something ever happens while we're out, I need you like, I would train her. I'd say, I need you to just go to the car or run. Like, I don't want to worry about you. And just know, like, I might be trying to make it look like I'm diffusing the situation, but I might just say, hey man, I don't want a problem with you. Then bam, like I just start hitting them. Right. And she's like, oh my gosh, you're so crazy. I'm like, trust me, the element of surprise is what people they miss out on if you're in a street fight. Cause everybody tries to act so macho. The guys that are really about it, they're not going there starting fights or necessarily wanting to look for trouble, right? So we want to avoid it, but if it ever happens, I said there's no question, there shouldn't be much talking, is what I told my wife, right? So I think you want to ask if you're out with your, let's say Bas, let's say you and Marianne were together, you were a couple and you were out. Mary, you want to ask him?
Absolutely. If we were out, let's just say walking down the street and somebody approaches you and grabs your shirt and wants to fight you, how would you handle that? Like, what's the breakdown on that?
Someone grabs your collar, one hand.
Well, I will control his hands first of all, so they can't headbutt me. But I would always start with, dude, what's going on? You know, what did I do? You know, and try to break it down. That's what I did as a bouncer. That's why I was a very wanted bouncer, because from the 10 situations that normally they fight 10 times, with me we fight maybe one time, because I would simply diffuse the situation, you know. And then if he's for a reason and he can listen, then I ask him what job he has. This was the same. I did always the same talk to guys who wanted to fight, and then they would say, I'm a car mechanic. I don't know. I said, how many times a day you do that? How many hours? Oh, 8 hours. I said, well, my job is fighting. I do 8 hours a day. I only fight. So it's not a smart thing to do this. Let's not do this, you know, but always be very nice and not like, oh, I'm going to beat shit out of you. No, don't. Stay away from that. You only fan the flame, you know, but just explain to them. I said, listen, if you had to bet on a guy who's a mechanic and it works 8 hours a day, or on a guy who 8 hours a day is focusing on fighting, who would you put your money on? And they're not stupid. They got to go, yeah, but I said, so why do we fight? We don't need to fight, you know. I mean, you want a beer? That's what I would do as a bouncer. And then I would give both a beer. Always just break it down, because the reason people want to fight you is never for a reason. It's always for a stupid reason, you know. But once you tell them but this is when they can still think, right? If they're drunk, religious, I'll choke them out. I want to hit them because I don't want them to wake up with a freaking face beat in and then, what did I do yesterday? What happened? Because, you know, I was stupid. I've been drunk that I don't remember what I did anymore. Thankfully, I didn't get into fighting, because I've been a very peaceful guy. When I'm drunk, I'm a happy guy. The last thing I want to do is fight. You know, so I always would simply choke the guy or just take him down and make sure he doesn't get hurt, because I will feel for them. Yeah, not a good thing.
That's how you know Bas has changed, because when you feel for them, because back in the day in those videos, you're making some sound effects, like you're making some noises on what you would do. Can you give us a breakdown of that scenario?
No, I never knew I made sound effects. I figured that out when they made that video and they cropped. It's a 1 hour, 45-minute DVD. Pretty freaking violent. But all the bang, bang, dong, dong, don't you ever, all these things, you know, they clipped that in the 5-minute clip. And I was dying when I saw it the first time. I was literally crying from laughing. I go, oh my God, this is so good, you know. But I never knew. I mean, apparently I growl when I fight on the street. My friends always say, you're I go like, really? And I had no idea I would do that. But I never did that in fighting professionally. So it's really weird to hear that. But people say things like that. But yeah, that again got me a lot of jobs. That DVD, that guy was phenomenal. I think 90% of everything that I had, even my TV show, which we had for 9 years. I mean, Grand Theft Auto, other video games, commercials, and it's all because they saw that crazy clip and they go, just do that, and then it's done. Oh, another TV show, Punk Payback, started also because of that. We had a season of that. So yeah, that was pretty amazing. And it's just having fun. That was literally unscripted, 1 hour, 45-minute thing that I did, you know, because it's a long story. I had to do it for some people. But anyway, it came out well. And people seem to enjoy it. The best review I ever had, the most funny one, was the guy who said, I don't know for sure, but I think he made a self-defense DVD for the bad guy. So like, you know, yeah, he did something funny.
That's good. That's good. Do you think modern like MMA fighters nowadays, you think they're soft, or you think they're like, you look at your generation? When I look at your generation, I'm like, those are man's man, you know, those are the man's man generation. And then you look at these MMA fighters now, sometimes they'll pull out with a broken a toe or something. And I don't want to necessarily comment on that. It could be serious, but just as an example, like, do you think that the generation now of MMA fighters are harder or softer than your generation?
Well, I think if you look overall, then I think they were tougher back then. But that, don't get me wrong, it's just because there's more fighters now. And I think a lot of fighters, and I'm not talking about the top guys, they're freaking animals. You know, everybody's, but it's the guys who are coming up, you know, and who the guys are getting in trouble on the street. You know, if you're a fighter, you don't get trouble on the street, guys. You want to avoid everything. You know, you're a professional fighter. Stop that, doing this stuff. It's child stuff. Don't do that. So most of the time, these guys, if they're not good, those are the guys that whine, and they want it for the wrong. They also come to me. Oh, I used to cage fight. I go, don't call it like that. Don't name it that. It's mixed martial arts. It's such a stupid thing to say. I'm a cage fighter. Oh, it sounds cool. You know, start fighting and go professional, and then watch what you're going to say. You're going to change it. Because once you become secure and, you know, you realize what you can do, you go like, and for me now, if people ask me what I do, I sell my O2 trainer. I sell the inspiratory muscle training device. They would not know until somebody would tell them. Because I don't want to go to that conversation. Because right away it's like, oh, it used to be fighting. And then everything is about fighting again. Leave me alone. I thought 60 years, now a long time. Well, 40 years about fighting. Now it's time to just relax. So I don't even mention it. I just try to walk. What kind of sport would you do? I said, what are you doing? You know, I try to diverse.
Yeah, it makes sense.
If you were in your prime today, who do you think that you would beat?
What's the highest level? And if you're watching UFC, what's the highest level in terms of fighter that you think you'd be able to beat if you were in your prime?
Well, this is going to be taken out of context, of course, because it's always like, well, everybody. But again, I just say that because I don't think it's good for my mind to go to a fight. I'm not going to beat him. You know, and think about this. 90% of my career was with one training partner who never tapped me. That I always had to come up. You're only as good as your training partners, right? That's what they say. Well, let me start training with a freaking whole school. Winklejohn Jackson Winklejohn, you know, and that with all these freaking animals that are there, you're going to be better. Because in the beginning, you're going to have trouble. But guess what? I'll figure them out because I always did it in my life. So I'm thinking if I train now with the new fighters are phenomenal freaking fighters, way technical better. I'm not saying that. Technically, everything's stamina, conditioning-wise, physically. I mean, they're such an animals, man. That's like, we didn't have that. I was cross-training. I was one of the first guys that started cross-training, you know, who did weights and stamina. It's the combination that makes you tired, I realized. Grappling and kicking a back, right? Like constantly get really tired of kicking, jump on the ground, and now grapple while you're super tired. You know, that was literally cross-training because the grappling pumps everything up. It makes your chest tight. It makes your abs blow. And behind here are your lungs. And your lungs open up by chest expansion, right? And those chest expansion is done by your diaphragm that pushes it out. Well, if that all gets tight, you know, and the diaphragm has to push really hard because the diaphragm pushes down. Do I have something here laying like I showed? Oh, wait, here we go. I always say this because I am breathing, right? Imagine this is the diaphragm. It literally looks like a ball cap, they say. You know, it's like this thing that I said. And the bottom of this is attached to the bottom of your rib cage. And this is what the diaphragm does. It drops down. It creates a vacuum between the body and the lungs, and that vacuum, that's actually opening up your lungs. But you see from this side what it does. It expands inside the body. Now, if all these muscles are tight and you're not used to that, this thing has to work overtime to push that tight muscle outside. But if everything is relaxed, so you prepare that you're constantly working out, and you do the combination, now the body goes like, okay, been here before. That's why I always tell people in the beginning with the UFC, there was a lot of guys on roids, right? I mean, we saw a lot of big guys, very strong, for about a minute and a half, and then it completely dropped. Well, this is the reason. Because all these strong muscles, they get tight. And now to expand that chest, so now you can't fill up your lungs anymore with air. Like not complete, maybe only 50%. This is a trick that I say so many times that people have no idea with. If you have to go on a run and you already have a little bit of a tight chest, you're in shape, but it doesn't really matter even if you're not. If you're not a physical person, stretch your intercostals. Like lean back on the ball, start leaning. This is what I used to do when I was fighting, when I didn't understand breathing at all. I was already doing it at that time. My manager would put his back against my back. We would hook arms and he would lean over and I would lean back. I thought I stretched my abs. That's what I thought. But I was stretching my intercostal because the muscle is relaxed, the chest is relaxed. It's much easier to expand. And that's when you get the full amount of air. So if you have to run now suddenly 2 miles and you're not in shape, I would say take 2-minute stretch, just your intercostals. You increase 20% minimum. 20%. This is bizarre, if not more. That's how big of a difference it makes. But people don't seem to listen. Let's do bench pressing the day before a fight. Yeah, that's a smart thing. I mean, you're stupid. Stop power training for at least like 10 days, I would do. You're not going to lose that power. You think you're going to lose it in 10 days? Of course not. But keep that chest relaxed because then it's easier to expand and therefore you can fill up your entire lungs with the air it needs.
I'm going to do that today before my run, and I'm going to send you an email. I'm going to let you know.
You're gonna look. I do it every morning. I'm in this place here. I do my whole prayers. What I do is on a special. While I do prayers, I'm also stretching my chest, and then I stretch my legs, and then I stretch this. So it's like an hour, but it's all stretching.
In MMA today, so there's the UFC, there's fighters pay, there's all this controversial stuff that comes up with the organization now, and just the business in general has become such a business. What's something in MMA now that pisses you off? Is it the trolling? Is it the fighter pay? Is it just the state of the sport at the moment? What's one thing about MMA that pisses you off today?
No, yeah, for me, but this is different for me because I'm a different guy now also, I was hard at too at the time. And sometimes, I think stay away from family, stay away from religion, stay away from politics, just focus on the fighter. And if you say some bad things about him or her to hype up the fight, I can get that. But you don't need to get graphic. You don't need profanity. You need all, if you can't say something without profanity, because that's pretty sad, right? If you can make yourself hurt. Once I realized that, that's when I cut everything out because I don't do it anymore. But, I wish that I would have done that sooner. But that's pretty much the only thing. I like the weight classes. I think there needs to be a cruiserweight. I would love a 235 pound or 225 or something like that, 230, because that gets the leap between 205 and 265 is just gigantic. So, but that's it. I mean, the guys are phenomenal. I mean, I wouldn't fight Amanda Nunes right now. I mean, that's a scary lady. I mean, everybody is so good, and they're all the tough guys. It's just, it's always the lower rank guys who probably, they're not on the UFC yet, and they're not there. Most of the time, they spread the bad stuff. But once they become good, they will change because then they realize, well, I can't keep doing that.
A couple more questions we have. Just one I want to ask because it was all over the social media feed yesterday. I don't know if you saw Conor McGregor. He went through some spiritual journey, and obviously he's had his issue with drug abuse. And he just came back online. He just came back online social media yesterday and said, guys, I'm back, and I had a journey, and I went to Mexico, and I went to Stanford University, and he had a spiritual vision with God and Jesus and all that. You guys talked a lot about drugs and drug abuse, and I was just wondering what your thoughts were on that now with your new outlook.
Yeah, well, for certain people it needs that. For me, it was just seeing what kind of person I was. I was not a bad person, but just see I can be much better. Once you start following all the rules that you need to follow in order to get yourself in line, that was it for me. And I just want to become a better man, a better father, a better husband. I want to completely change. And I changed everything. And some people, they need ayahuasca or they need that stuff, or they, to lift them up to a level that they probably cannot go to now anymore because the anger, the pride, all the stuff that's in our heads are stopping those forces from opening up and going to it. So for me personally, and I know it's not a Catholic thing to say because they say you can't do it, but I can understand that people do it. And look, if Conor now sees this, listen, a friend of mine married a woman who was married before, and she had the biggest piece of crap husband. Like, they didn't want to see the guy, bad guy. And after 4 years, they'd always avoided him. And then one day, he called and he said that he needed to have dinner with him. And they tried everything in their power to not go to dinner with this guy. But he was begging them. And when he walked into the restaurant, the guy walked up to him and he grabbed him, hugged him. And my friend is freaking out because this guy is a true piece of crap. And he goes, yeah, I know. He says, I'm here to make amends. He says, I did ayahuasca and they showed me what a piece of crap I've been my entire life. And I'm so sorry. And now they're friends. I mean, the guy completely made a 180, and in the drugs and in the alcohol field, I have a friend of mine, a two-fat, actually, who are really into ayahuasca and all that stuff for PTSD, but also for alcohol and drugs. And they have a 94% success rate. So if I hear that number, I go, well, it's helping people. And these guys are very devout Catholics also, but they do ayahuasca, which officially the church will not agree. But they do it in order to help the people, and they have a super high success rate. So, I say, to me, it's good. If Conor now saw this and he really knows where he is, imagine the lives Conor can change if he becomes a God-fearing man. I mean, I think he can literally do a lot of change in the world for the good, because that people started listening, because he's a great speaker. I always liked him. Even when he did the bad things, I go, dude, I've been crazy. I'm not going to judge anybody. Give me $300, $400, $500 million, whatever he has, at an age of 30. Good luck with that. I don't think I would have kept any money because I was insane at the time, so I can completely understand everything, but now for him to do this, I'm very happy, I got to say. I hope truly, because Conor, you meet the guy, he's the nicest guy. He treats people with respect. He's a really good guy. But the only times when we see him is when he's been drinking or maybe been doing drugs, whatever it is. It's always the bad things. And this is the thing. People base their opinions on what you did wrong. That's globally done everywhere. You can say freaking 100 kids do everything, but you do one thing bad that they don't like and they spit you out. They forget all the good things that you did. And of course they only show the bad things. Look at politics, right? I mean, that's what they do. So I think we only see the bad stuff from Conor. But if you see the good stuff from Conor, I'll bet you it outweighs the bad stuff that he does by far. But that's not interesting. That doesn't get any clicks. So let's do the bad stuff. That's how the world is working right now. So I'm applauding it, man. I wish I already tried to get in contact with him because I wanted to talk to him about God, and sit him on the straight. He was training at my gym. But it was at the time when he had these community hours. And later on, I thought, oh, my God. So he had the community hours done because he hit the guy. I don't know what the story was anymore. That was back in Ireland. And he had to go actually to a priest, to like a church, and do it there. Now, I didn't notice. I swear to God, I didn't notice. Now, I just came back from helping a priest out. He's actually a really big exorcist on his land because he had the buildings. We had to break down some buildings. So when I came back, I said, hey, where did you come from? I said, I was helping this priest out. And he looked at me like, good man. But I saw in his eyes, is he now saying that because I didn't? Is he making this up? But I wasn't making it up because I didn't know that he had to actually do community work at a church. So, but that was real. It came back from real. So I hope he hears this and then he says, I should call the guy because I'm very easy. I have great ways to get inside your mind. And once I've been talking to him for like half an hour, he's going to see the light. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, I'm so happy for him. I hope he keeps on that path. But It's crazy how that field, how that industry, it attracts all of that, all the drugs, all that lifestyle. as well. So I'm really happy for him when I saw it, and I really hope that he stays on that path.
No, everything in life, every musician, every athlete, it doesn't really matter. Everybody, the people at the top, at the money people, everybody deals with that. Everybody's going drugs at this. It's all power, and then you try to get out of it, and then you want to fill that hole, and then you fill it with drugs. You fill it with alcohol, whatever it is. So in any field out there, there's pretty much an abuse, especially if you're performing at a high level. People have no idea you're going to go for like complete training camp. It's just not healthy to not release. Now, the problem is that if you release all the time after a fight, I should have known that once I stop fighting, I don't have anything to go for anymore. I'm probably going to keep doing it. And that's exactly what happened, of course. But then thankfully I figured it out really fast and I stopped. But I think in every field in the world, what performing at a high level, you see a lot of people misusing drugs and alcohol. It's too busy for us.
What would you say is the single hardest lesson that life taught you that your career never could?
Yeah, it ain't over till it's over. I go back to that second fight, to my first street fight, and then the second fight. And, once you step up for yourself, you feel so good. People are so afraid to say no to others. Everybody becomes a people pleaser. I used to be like that. But what happens is you bring yourself only trouble on yourself. It's too much hay on the fork is what they say in Holland. I don't know if that's an expression here. But, you can't please everybody. And it's okay to say no. Now, if you say no to somebody, you don't have to get angry. I just said no. Now it's like an anger thing. So I think, stepping up for yourself. I think the most important person in the world for you is you. And you never want to lie to that person. Because if you lie to that person, that's how addiction starts. That's how everything bad starts. Because if you say tomorrow morning, I'm going to work out, and then tomorrow morning you don't do it, well, you just lied to yourself. You let yourself down. Now, the second time that you're doing that, it's going to be easier for you to stay in bed and to not do it because you already did it one time. And that goes on for months. Now it's going to be very hard to flip that around. But the only way to get out of it is to literally say, I'm going to freaking do it. Man up, and then just simply do it. And that becomes hard. And it's hard the next day, But again, the more you do it, the easier it becomes. And now it becomes easy to say no to all the bad things. And then suddenly you're drug free, you're everything free, you started working out and you start feeling like amazing. Like if you train your body and your mind, and only your body will do a lot for it already, and you put good food in it, people have no idea what happens. And that's literally coming up for yourself. What I did in my very first bully fight, I came up for myself. Well, in life, you should come up for yourself. And once you do that, your life is going to be crazy good. I guarantee you that. But, don't try to cut corners. I don't have the time. Wake up. Put the freaking phone down. Check on the screen time, how many hours you spend on that thing. I don't. You won't see me on social media. I filmed something for a day. I filmed 20 clips and I'll let them post it. But I'm not going to go, hey, I'm doing a podcast right now. Watch this click. What's that going to do? It's going to help me. You're going to look at me, man. No, I forgot all that. That I lost after the Exodus 90. It's a 90-day program every beginning of the year. It's a Catholic program where you can't use TV, you can't use your phone, you can't use only for job. For the rest, nothing. You can't watch shows. You can't do anything. You can smoke, you can drink, you have to stop everything. Only cold showers. There's 2 fasting days a week. The cold showers most of the time, that will let everybody exit. But when I did that the first time, which was 8 years ago, you can go back on my social media. That's where everything stopped. Because oh my God, I'm wasting so much money because now I got a lot of free time. Let's read a book. Let's learn about this. Let's do this. Now suddenly you start acquiring skills, new skills that you never knew that you had. Life becomes so much easier. And on 1 day a week, you can break any rule. So if you say, I like to smoke a cigar, you can do that on a Sunday. But I also drink. Well, you can't do that. Get only one vice you can use. Now, I would try to break the rule a little bit, bend it. I wouldn't do anything for 1 week. And then the week later, I would do a cigar and a drink, because I didn't do it last week. But I don't think it's allowed. But I just justify that in my head. But you see, once you do that, you start working out. You have to minimum work out 4 or 5 times a week. suddenly everybody started changing. Oh my God, I'm wasting so much time to stupid stuff. What am I doing? I'm feeling so great. Why don't I keep doing that? And that's it, and I'm doing it every year. I had a friend of mine who, when I called him the next year, I said, hey, it's coming up again. He says, what do you mean? I go, actually, it starts again. He said, oh, I didn't stop. I go, what? He goes, hey, I just kept the whole year going. I go, dude, you're insane. That guy's, he's a badass.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, that's 90-day fast. It's like is it part of the Daniel's fast? You just took it and made it a little differently? Or?
No, it's the 90 days. It's the 90 years that he got out of the desert with Moses leading him out, and now it's 90 days. And 90 days there's only 2 fasting days, it's Wednesdays and Fridays. You have to watch with your meals. You can still eat, but it's not complete fasting. I'm actually going to do my first 3-day fast now, right after after Thanksgiving. I want to try it out just to see the little nicks and pains that I have, if that's going to help me with it. But so you don't have to completely stop at eating. You just have to measure portions on those 2 days, and only fish, of course, not meat on those days. But that's the church anyway. Already, I'm doing that. So, and healthy food. And you have to make your own food. And once you start living like that, and take you can't take sugars. Okay, now what? Oh, you can take a little bit of honey if you want, but you can't take sugars. You see, once you start cutting it out, and you start feeling phenomenal, you go like, man, why didn't I do this 30 years ago? Mental body connection, just your mind becomes so bright. You start learning new things, reading. It's cool. It's a really cool thing. But unfortunately, we live in a world that we want to stay far away from that. It's too hard because we're a bunch of pussies. You see, that's the word again.
Well, but it's like you're holding yourself accountable, right? To yourself, and like setting goals for yourself and then following through on it is essentially what it is.
That's it. Just coming up for yourself. And even if you don't believe in God, don't you want to be the very best person that you can actually be, that you're designed for? Everybody wants that. When I do my Catholic talks, I had this line when they ask me about what kind of man I want to be. And I had this line one time, and I always have to repeat it, because that line straightened me out. I want to be a man who can overcome his weaknesses, vices, and imperfections. A man who's not a slave to his passions, emotions, and desires, but just a guy who's in control of himself. And if you really listen to that message, you're going to go, every guy wants to be like that. And if you say it's not true, you're lying to yourself. Because you know that if you're in total control, you're the freaking man. You're ready for everything. Oh, freaking, try to come in a house and rob you. Well, you're going to be ready for it. Not when you're drunk and something happens. Home invasions. Oh, but that will never happen. Over 1 million a year in America. Home invasions. 1 million, over 1 million. So they do happen. I just want to be ready for everything that can come. What if a crazy war breaks out? Well, I'm going to be ready. Good luck coming into this house here. And we got some friends over that are exactly the same as me. It's going to be, it's not going to be good for the bad guys. I guarantee you that.
I love that. Bas, it's already been I think over an hour. So do you want to leave our audience with any last words before we close the show?
Just like I always said, we kind of talked about it. When you just find something that you love to do and try to make from that your job. I never went a day to work because of my job. And everything that I get out of it is also commentating. It's for me, it's just talking about the fight. It's not a job for me. I love it. All the TV shows, the things that I did, the acting, it all came from fighting, and I love it. But once you start doing something that you don't really love, but you do it for the wrong reasons, stop. Find something that you're made for. We all have our gifts, all of us. You just have to figure out whatever it is, or whichever it is. And if it's something that doesn't make you rich, so what? If you have financial security, that should be good enough. We all want, it's greed, man. For the love of money is what the Bible said. Don't go for that. That's when you see big pharma, these things, the horrible things that they're doing to this country. They're killing people, like left and right. You can all do natural cancer. There's 5-day cures. Why would you? Oh, you have cancer. You have to go chemo now. Give me 5 days. Just say that and try 5 days those herbs that they're talking about, which you're going to take it out. Who knows, right? lots of thousands of people have been doing it and it's gone. So maybe, you see, so just be true to yourself. Just also be on time. Be a man of your word. If you say it's a yes, then it's you said yes, you committed. There's no maybes. There's no gray areas here. You either say yes or no. So if you don't want to say yes to something right away, say, can I think about it? That's what I do. Because then it gives you a day to think about it. By when do you need to know? Oh, I need to know it now. Sorry, I can't do it. That's my go-to answer. You have to do it now? No, then I can't do it. If you give me a day, I can tell you, maybe we can. Probably not, but maybe we can. You see, but then give yourself time. Don't please everything and everybody. Don't agree with everything. If somebody says this look good on me and it's your friend, no. If it doesn't look good on them, tell them. That's your friend, right? You don't want that friend to go out and looking stupid, but we're so afraid to hurt people. You know, and to, oh my God, yeah, but he thinks it's nice. Yeah, but I like to have the truth. If I have something in my teeth here, and my wife wouldn't say sometimes something, but she does it as a joke. Because every time you smile to people, you look like an idiot. And I love it. You know, that's what she would do, but that's a joke. And I know she's doing that, so I always check. But and a good friend of mine, if I have something sticking out my nose, which I won't, but if it would, I would have somebody like to say to me, hey, Bas, you got something up your nose before you go on camera, right? So just be true. Just be truth. Why is truth hurtful? You know, I talked about this guy in Holland, Chris Dolman. You know, he tells you whatever he thinks of you and how you can get better. And a lot of people get offended. I said, no, but it comes from a good place. You know it comes with love from this guy. He wants you to be a better person. Don't get offended. Listen to him. You know, when he said to me, jump in the car right now, I jumped in the car and look at me now. I'm talking to you guys only because that stupid phone call that I picked up and I listened to what he said. You know, and that's life. You know, don't be afraid to hurt people. And if they are hurt, they're not your friends. Let them go. They don't want to know the truth. Then you know right away who you cannot depend on, because that means they're doing it to you as well. Right? If somebody lies to you, if a good friend of mine, if I say to a good friend of mine, oh man, yesterday this happened. And he goes, I don't believe you. If he would say that, in my mind, it's already, I'm on my toes. Because I would lie to my friends. But if he thinks that, then he's maybe mirroring. That means that he probably does it, you know, himself. And because he does it himself, he automatically assumes I do it. You see, so that's always a warning sign to me. Okay, how big of a friend is this guy? Would he really think I would lie about that? That's weird. You see, so those are little alarm bells that'll go off with me at times, because most of the time it is mirroring. It's like the guy who's cheating on his wife is very jealous because he assumes she's doing it as well. You see, so all these things, you know, just if they're not truthful, why would you have them as friends? Because, yeah, it's not going to help your relationship and your life.
Wow. That was amazing. We got to do this again. Bas Rutten, thank you for joining the Millennials Choice Show. El Guapo. And I just want to, guys, if you like this episode, I just want to say, you know, like it, subscribe, leave us a comment, good or bad. We need both. And share it with your family and friends. And until next time, you guys.
I give you this one thing. You remember when I talked about the chest expansion? If you want to have that maximum chest expansion, fill up your lungs, all the amount of air you can get.
Yes.
Get an O2 trainer. This is the thing I've been using for 8 years, every single day. And I post them actually. So people go, yeah, right. I post them on a Facebook page. You can see every single day I'm doing it. It makes a gigantic difference in your breathing. So just want to throw that out there.
We're going to put the link in the description. So the website's o2trainer.com, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay, awesome, guys. All right, until next time, we're out.
Godspeed.